Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hip Horse. Tommy D, Johnny Lowe, Derby Talk, episode number 14. You heard it right, we're going to skip the unlucky 13, everybody, and go right to 14. Johnny, good to be here. Thanks for following us along, everybody. We appreciate you. Johnny, man, we're real close to the Derby, about 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, so we just have 2 more prep races left, and it's time to get ready to start doing some handicapping. Who's going in, who's coming out, and get ready for how we're gonna play it.
Oh, definitely, Johnny. After this weekend, we have 2 races that we're gonna highlight. We're gonna do a quick recap of last week's races, and then we're gonna get into the 2 races this week, which is the Arkansas Derby and the Lexington. We're gonna talk about the Lexington first, and then the Arkansas. We're gonna do a quick recap of last week. Everybody see how the Derby picture is looking. Like Johnny said, we're going to start to see, after this weekend, all 20 horses that will be going to the gate, pretty much. There might be some injuries. Some horses aren't going to be making the trip, Johnny. We could talk about that, opening some spots. But let's do a quick recap of last week. What did you see last week? The Bluegrass, Johnny, essential quality, still undefeated, showing top-tier colt there, highly motivated, getting second. Your thoughts on the Bluegrass?
Yeah, so it was a little closer than I expected. I thought Essential Quality would probably win a little bit easier, but it was definitely a dogfight. I felt like it was kind of a speed favoring track, so it was a really good idea to send Essential Quality and not have him try to come off the pace. The rest of the horses didn't really pass each other. Rombauer ended up picking up the pieces for third. He just kind of plodded along behind the top 2 finishers. He got enough points. He might have made it into the Derby. Off of that race, I'm not really sure if Highly Motivated wants the mile and a quarter. Although it was a tough race all the way around the track.
Yeah, Johnny, as you said, it was a dogfight. A lot of people thought Essential Quality might win that a little bit easier. Maybe took a little more out of the tank than wanted there, but I guess we'll see moving forward. How about the Wood, Johnny? Todd Pletcher showing up in a big way. 2 bombs, Bourbonic and Dynamic one. Bourbonic 72-1, Johnny. If you connected there, congratulations. Your thoughts there on the Wood?
When we were looking at the entries, we were kind of laughing a little bit. Like, I wonder what Pletcher's doing here, And Ortiz is riding another horse, and the horses that were last, second to last, and third to last finished 1, 2, and 3 in the end. I even though it was such a slow race and such slow fractions, the only horse that was even anywhere near the front that finished towards the front was Wayburn, who ended up running 4th. But yeah, that was Shocker City. I don't even know what that exacta paid, but it was the highest paying $2 win bet in Wood Memorial history, I believe, on Bourbonic. So that was that was definitely the
never doubt
surprise.
Todd Pletcher, Johnny. I guess that's what you want to say, is never doubt Todd Pletcher. He's a professional. 72-1 over 15-1. What are the odds there? So monster.
In New York, look at the Gotham. That Wayburn paid like $96 or something like that. So I guess if you were looking to just throw money on the longest shot on the board, New York was the place for this Derby trail.
Oh yeah, there we go, Johnny. And then the last one we'll talk about last weekend was the Santa Anita Derby out here in California, where we're located. And Rock Your World showed up in a big way for John Sadler, Johnny. Medina Spirit held in there for a second for Bob Baffert, scraping up points to get into the Derby. Your thoughts about Rock Your World and what you thought about the Santa Anita Derby?
Yeah, so our top pitch, Roman Centurion, he's scratched. He's out of the Derby picture. He wasn't working well, but the way the track was playing, it was so speed favoring. It was a merry-go-round. I don't think he would have factored into the equation, other than Parnelli, who went to the front, faltering and ending up finishing way back. Nobody passed anybody from the first turn till the end of the race. Rock Your World took him wire to wire. You had Medina Spirit in second, and Dream Shake was right behind him in third. One thing that's interesting about Rock Your World is that his first race, he switched leads really well down the stretch. One pretty impressive. Then when he stretched out his second race, didn't switch leads. He was on the wrong lead the entire way to the finish. I watched his workout before that race, before the Santa Anita Derby, and he did switch leads, but he was really, really ginger on the lead when he switched. It was like he didn't want to really put any force down. And in the Santa Anita Derby, when they came to hit the stretch, at the 8th pole, he switched leads to the correct lead, and then at the 16th, he switched back. some people say, oh, he's only had a few races, he's green. I don't know. Let's keep an eye on it. Maybe the horse is sore. We really don't know what's going on there. But for his first race on the dirt, it looked like he did pretty well.
Yeah, Rock Your World. We're talking about winner of the Santa Anita Derby there. We just did a quick recap of the 3 major races in the Derby picture from last week. Johnny, anything you want to add before we get into this week's races?
Yeah, I really expect this week's race to be, even though it's a 6-horse field, the main race this week, I think, is going to be head and shoulders over what we've seen in the other races. I didn't really see any horses that looked to me like they want the mount a quarter, and I'm sure people will argue Rock Your World, but I don't know the competition. We kind of thought Dream Shake was going to spit the bid at the mount of 16th, and we weren't sure if Medina Spirit had the breeding to stretch out. So I think this week in the Arkansas Derby, we have a chance to see who one of the more serious contenders might be for the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, it's a short field. We're going to dig into the Arkansas Derby. And if you're new to following us, hit that like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. You're watching Derby Talk on the Hip Horse. Johnny Lowe, Tommy D, we're advocates for the horse racing game. We love the game, so throw down in the comments who you like in these races too. We appreciate all the comments. Let's move it on, Johnny, to the Lexington. This is a Grade 3. This could have some paint the picture for a couple horses that need to get in, Johnny. 28, 4, and 2 are the points. First place gets 20. Lexington Grade 3. Let's take a look here. Do you want to run through the field, or do you just want to highlight a few horses?
Well, we can do a little bit of each. So there's a couple horses that don't have any points, right? So Bezos, Noble Reflection, Ultimate Badger, King Fury, Starring in My Dreams. So they don't really have any points. If you want to handicap and bet the race, Swiftsure, look a little bit deeper into it. Well, really, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find that Kentucky Derby winner for you. So we're going to try to break down the horses that are left, and do they have a chance of making the points to make the race. Hockey Dad, here's a horse that has, he's got 20 points because he ran well in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. If he wins the race, he'll have 40. 40's going to get him in at this point. There's been a few defections. We've got Proxy. Proxy has 34 points. He already has probably enough to get him in the race, I would say at this point. Depending on something chaotic happening in the Arkansas Derby and 3 more horses getting a ton of points and something wild happening. The other one's Unbridled Honor. He's got 5 points right now, which doesn't seem like a lot, but if he does win the race, he'll have 25 points, which is the same as Bezos, but he'll have more money won than Bezos. So if there are a few more defections, something happens, he would be the horse that would be in front of him. So those are basically the 3 main players for points. It's interesting, Doug O'Neill sent another horse out here. We've been talking about it's the Doug O'Neill Derby Tour this year. He's sending horses to each race and trying to get as many home as he can. I don't know with Hockey Dad, though. I'm not sure. His last race he ran pretty good, and he's definitely improving, but this might be a little bit tougher company than he ran against last time.
Yeah, Hockey Dad, we did like him last time in the Jeff Ruby here, so I agree with you here. The one I'm looking at is, Proxy. I want to see how well this one comes back from Michael Stidham. As you said, 34 points, 22, but most likely will get in here. Just shows up. It was finished 4th, in the Louisiana Derby last time. But I think this horse with the better run, Michael Stidham, has high hopes for this one, Johnny. That's Proxy here. And then Unbridled Honor, currently 44, Todd Pletcher. We don't want to discount a Todd Pletcher horse, as we saw snuck in possibly with a couple horses last week there, Johnny. So in the Lexington, there's a couple horses that need the points. Do you have a pick in the race here?
Yeah, so I think we have to go with Proxy. We've been talking about how the horses in the fairgrounds it's been pretty strong races. We like Midnight Bourbon, and I think the cut back to a mile and 16th is going to help Proxy. I think he's going to have a lot better turn of foot when they hit the stretch for home. I think the mile and 3/16 was a little bit too far for him. He definitely flattened out. So for me, I would put this horse on top. Tappett's like Keeneland, so I'd put him on top. I think underneath, one of the invaders coming in for Steve Asmussen, Swiftsure. He's by Uncle Mo. He's out of a Speightstown mare. Irad Ortiz is elected to ride this horse, and he's only sprinted a couple times. He's stretched out to a route for the first time, but I think this horse has a lot of potential. And I watched his races back, and I think that he this race could set up for him. I think this is a good spot for him to be in, and even though he's collecting a few points if he wins the race, he won't have enough to get in. But it's a good race moving forward. Maybe a prep for something like a Preakness or somewhere around there. And then underneath, I think that the big contenders are probably going to be Hockey Dad, Bezos, and Unbridled Honor. I think that Unbridled Honor is a really nice horse. He's got a nice stride. He's going to have to run faster than he did last time to win the race, but I think between the three of those horses, you probably have third place locked up. Outside shot, maybe King Fury. He's got really nice breeding. They paid almost $1 million for him, and he won a couple races as a 2-year-old.
Yep, well, there you go. Johnny giving some picks out for the Lexington, looking through top 3 picks there, adding a couple there at the end for underneath. So Proxy looks to be the horse to beat here on the hip horse picks. Looks to be a pretty competitive race, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. This race, it's maybe missing one big contender away from being a better prep race. I would compare this favorably with the Wood at least. Maybe a multiple. I could see 2 or 3 horses coming out of this race down the road. Maybe hitting the Travers or running in some big races. I don't think they really lack in talent. I think it's the experience factor is probably why a lot of them are here. Bezos, the horse that Baffert has in there, he was just super hyped before his debut. Faltered, came back, stretched him out, had a nice victory at Santa Anita. So, yeah, he could be a horse that down the road you're looking at in maybe the Haskell or something.
There we go. A couple to mark down on your list there to watch out for. Lexington looks to be very competitive. That's a grade 3. We just highlighted there. Let's move on to the big race this week, Johnny. This is going to be the Arkansas Derby. Grade 1, 100 points to the winner, 40 for second, 20 for third, 10 for fourth. It's in Hot Springs, Arkansas, 1 1/8 miles, Johnny. This is a big race for a lot of horses trying to get into the Derby. We only have 6 horses in the gate, Johnny. We could run through the whole field. But anything you want to talk about before we get to that?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that a 6-horse entry is what we ended up getting here. I thought a couple people might take some shots, like Swiftshirt, for example. He was training in Arkansas. I was thinking maybe they'll throw him in there. Would it affect the pace setup? But they were talking about Roman Centurion going, but Callahan elected to give him some more time. So I was expecting closer to a 10-horse field a couple weeks ago, but I'll take the 6 horses in here. It's a very competitive field, and I think there's some unfinished business from the last race. If you go back and watch the Rebel down the stretch when Cotto River kind of veered out and slammed into Big Lake, who ran into Get Her Number, it really caused some serious issues for a lot of horses that were behind Concert Tour.
Yeah, good point there, Johnny. And we're going to see a little bit of a rematch with some of these horses here today in the Arkansas Derby. Let's get through the field here. Let's take a look at number 1, Superstock. Bay Colt has 7 starts, 1 win, 2 plays, 2 show, knows how to get in the money. It's got 9 Derby points currently. Steve Asmussen's training. Santana Jr. is going to be riding. Finished 4th last out in the Rebel. Off the bench, Johnny, off the layoff. Your thoughts on number 1, Superstock?
Yeah, so Superstock is by Dialed In. He's out of Super Girly, who's by Closing Argument. It's a somewhat interesting pedigree for me. I see we have 2 horses in here by Dialed In. I think if it rains, there's a 50% chance it's going to rain. Oh. I think if it rains, it's going to help these horses a little bit. I think they're going to like the wet track an awful lot, and it's definitely going to be in their favor. If it's a dry track as it was last time, even with a pretty clean trip that he had, he came from off the pace, but I don't think even with a pace duel, I don't think he's catching the top ones in here on a dry track.
Hey, well, there we go. Talking about number 1, Superstock here. Steve Asmussen has won the race before, Johnny. Won it with Basin, Creator, Curlin, and Private Emblem, so knows how to get it done. Let's move on to the next one, number 2, Cotto River. This is the one I think a lot of people are hoping to see come back strong, this Dark Bay Colt. 5 starts, 2 wins, 2 plays, Johnny. Cox Giroux finished 5th last time in the Rebel. Like you said, had some trouble on there. The local owner has won this race 3 times, too. Your thoughts on number 2, Cotto River?
Yeah, so Cotto River's another one I think that's going to like a wet track. They're probably hoping it rains for Cotto River. Last time he got beat to the corner by Concert Tour. Concert Tour's just faster out of the gate and took the lead, and he was kind of in a position that looked uncomfortable throughout the race, and when they hit the stretch for home, he just came up completely empty. I expect him to probably show up a little bit better than he did last time. Hopefully he runs straight down the stretch and we don't cause any bumping. That didn't go over very well, and Big Lake came out hurt from that. So
yeah, Johnny, number 2, Cotto River. I think a lot of people are expecting this one to come back and perform a little bit better last time. Like you said, trouble trip there. Brad Cox still putting the foot to the pedal there with workouts here. So number 2, Cotto River. Let's move on to number 3, Hozier. This Bay Colt, 3 starts, very lightly raced, 1 win and 1 second. Showed up big last time for Bob Baffert. Gets his old boy connection, Martin Garcia, aboard here. Bob Baffert's won this race 3 times. Bodemeister, American Pharoah, and Nadal. This horse finished second in the Rebel last time. Lightly raced, Johnny. Hozier, it's been on our board. Your thoughts on the 3 horse?
Yeah, Hozier has. I would say you could make a really good case that he's got the best breeding in the race to keep stretching out. He's by Pioneer of the Nile out of Mary Meadow, who's by Henny Hughes. It's a really nice cross. It's a Mr. Prospector over a Stormcat cross. And, they didn't shy away from throwing down $625,000 on this big colt. He's February born. I'm sure he's pretty well developed. And his last race, we liked him a lot, and he showed up. I know there was some trouble, and he stayed away from it. And, yeah, it definitely helped him. But he was the only horse in the entire field that made up any ground on Concert Tour from the stretch to making it home. Even if it was a quarter length, he didn't lose ground. He gained a little bit. In his last workout on April 3rd, he looked all of a monster. I think this horse has all the signs of a horse that's ready to go this mile and an eighth, and I expect him to show up with a big race.
Yeah, Johnny, the thing I like about it is there could be a lot of pace in this race, so this could set up for this horse to close. That's number 3, Hozier, we're looking at here. Let's move on. This one has 20 points on the thing, so Johnny, it needs to get 3rd to probably get in the Derby here. I don't think 4th place will do it, so it needs to get 3rd or better to get in the Derby. Would you agree with that?
Let's see.
40 points?
50, 40, 20, 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna need a 3rd place finish.
Yeah, so pay attention to that too if you're doing the exotics and trifectas there and superfectas. Let's move on to number 4. Get Her Number. Peter Miller here training, gets a local jockey up there, running really hot in the Hot Springs, Ariata. This Bay Colt, 4 starts, has 2 wins, Johnny. 10 Derby points currently. Looked good as a 2-year-old, winning the American Pharoah Grade 1. Hasn't done too much this year. What are your thoughts on number 4, Get Her Number?
Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. I think Hozier, with a 4th place finish, with the 10 points, he'd have 30. He'd have a pretty good chance to get in. He'd be above Obezos and some other horses, so he might be able to get in. Depends. But for sure, Get Her Number has to run 3rd. He has to get that 20 points and get at least 30 points to get in, without a doubt. If he doesn't, he's not going to be in. But this horse, I feel like his last race, just he didn't really get a fair shake at it. He was coming down the lane with his run, and he got bumped, and I mean that was it. You're coming off a layoff from September, running in a race like that, shipping for it, and then you get bumped down the lane. I can see why the horse threw in the towel, but connections obviously like him and think he's got a good shot, sending him back out there. And he's another horse by Dialed In. He's out of Fancier, who's by Bernstein. This is the AP Indy Seattle Slew Bold Ruler over Stormcat Cross, if you want to go back to some old blood here. This is another horse that I think is going to like a wet track. So if it rains, I think that he's got a little bit, it moves him up a little bit. And I would expect him to break out of the gate and be a little bit more forwardly placed. I think last time they tried to play it safe and keep him off. But he's a pretty fast horse, and I think that his best shot might be a little bit closer up.
Yeah, Peter Miller, an excellent trainer here in Southern California, if you're not familiar with him. Get Her Number, going to take another shot there. Try to get to the gate at the Derby, Johnny. Let's move on to number 5, Concert Tour. Going to be the favorite here, this Bay Colt. 3 starts, 3 wins. Bob Baffert, Rosario is going to be riding here. Won the Rebel last time out pretty impressively. Already in the Derby here with 50 points, Johnny. It's been the hip horse pick all along, Concert Tour. So I'm thinking you're going to keep going that way. But your thoughts on number 5, Concert Tour?
Yeah, so we threw him out there in January on the futures, and we've just ridden the Concert Tour train the entire way. In the Rebel, we took Concert Tour over Cotto River, who went off as the favorite, and he didn't let us down. I have a feeling that whether the pace is fast or not, he might just be the fastest horse to the corner. I mean, it maybe Florent Charoux going to whip Cotto River out of the gate. I don't know, but I have a feeling it could be a repeat of last time where he just beats him to the punch. And if that happens and he does maintain control of the pace, we could be looking at a repeat of the last race. It didn't look like he really took a deep breath at a mile and 16th, so mile and an eighth might not be too big of an issue.
Yeah, Concert Tour, Bob Baffert, as we said, won it before. A strong colt coming in here to the race. 50 points already in, Johnny. Let's move on to a horse that doesn't have any points. That's the 6 horse, Last Samurai, a chestnut colt. 4 starts, has 1 win there. Stuart, Court's going to be aboard here, has won the race twice. You got to like that. Finished 5th in the Southwest at Oaklawn to start his 3-year-old campaign. What are your thoughts on Last Samurai here, Johnny?
So Last Samurai is by Malibu Moon. Malibu Moon sired Orb, the 2013 Kentucky Derby winner. He's out of Lady Samurai, who's by First Samurai. They ran him in the Southwest against Essential Quality in Spielberg, and he was 56.6 to 1. I expect him to be somewhere around there in this race as well. I don't know. I mean, it's nice to have an extra betting interest in the field, though.
Yeah, hey, 6 horses in the field. Arkansas Derby looks pretty competitive, Johnny. I know you talked about the wet factor. Looked ahead and saw the weather. Do you want to give out some horses for the wet weather and then top picks all around, or what are you thinking here?
I think Concert Tour is going to be able to handle the wet track, but I think that horses like Get Her Number and Super Stock that are by Dialed In, or Cotto River even, who's by Hardspun. I think Hardspun's pretty good on the wet track as well. I think those horses will move up a little bit. It might make it a little bit more competitive, and for me, I'm hoping for a dry track, and you just kind of go out there, set a pace, make it nice and easy. We're invested in Concert Tour. We don't want them to work too hard. We don't want to have any little nicks or knacks coming out of the race. So that's what we're looking at. But if it does rain, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher race for him. Yeah,
Johnny, and what you said there, I was going to ask you my next question. A lot of people are saying Brad Cox is going to send Cotto River out to beat down Concert Tour and take everything out of this colt. Do you see that possibly happening here?
I just don't know if Cotto River is fast enough to get out there and run with Concert Tour for the first quarter mile. It's just you've got a horse in Cotto River who was 0 for 2 in 7 furlong races, and Concert Tour's got a victory in a graded stakes race at 7 furlongs, so he's probably got more speed. I know he was a length off the pace that day, but still pretty close up. I think Concert Tour, if he wants the lead, he's going to go get the lead. Cotto River got the lead against company that isn't quite on this level or anywhere near it. So I think Cotto River is a pretty fast horse, but if he wants to go out there with Concert Tour, I think he's going to end up doing about the same as he did last time, getting tired coming down the stretch.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask one more question before we get to the top 3. Before we get out of here, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, ring that bell. You're watching the Hip Horse. Tommy D, Johnny Lowe, we're on the Derby Trail. We appreciate you following. Throw down in the comments how you like there. All right, Johnny, we took a look at the Arkansas Derby field here. Let's do a top 3 here. Let's go for it.
Yeah, so in the number 3 position, I think I'm going to actually put Get Her Number there. If it rains, I think he's got a really good shot at hitting the board, and this is a pretty good horse. I think I'm going to give him another try off that layoff, getting bumped down the stretch. We didn't really get to see what he can do, so he should be a decent price, and I expect him to run pretty well out there.
All right, number 2, Johnny, let's move on to number 2. Who do we got?
Yeah, so for number 2, I'm going to take the Baffert, Hozier. I think he's got a great shot at being pretty competitive in this race, and he's going to enjoy the stretch out. I believe no matter what the pace setup is, he's probably going to be in a pretty good position to finish strong in here. And if he does get enough points to get in the Derby, watch out, he could be live.
Hey, there we go. I like it. Bob Baffert, another shot there. Let's move on to number 1. Who do we got?
In the number 1 slot, the tour's gonna roll on, the concert tour. He's my pick. We're gonna see what happens. Hopefully he wins this race. If he does it impressively like he did in his last one, I expect him to be the favorite in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, I agree, Johnny. You expect Bob Baffert just to go for it, or maybe a little bit light. I mean, Bob Baffert's just known to let him run. So, well, I guess we'll find out.
I think he's gonna just send the horse. I mean, what do you got to lose if you don't really want him behind horses taking dirt? I mean, it's maybe something happens, they bump into each other. Just send him out there, keep him clean, get him home. Get ready for 3 weeks from that day.
Yeah, I agree, and that was the last question I had for you. The 3 weeks, does that worry you at all? I know a lot of these horses are used to running 3-week span. Before the big race here, is that something that worries you a little bit?
I mean, a little bit. It's kind of like I wish they had that full month. But American Pharoah did it. I mean, he was a really good horse, but obviously he ran against, I feel like, a little bit tougher of a field in the Kentucky Derby than we're looking at this year with the Dortmunds and the Firing Lions and the Frosted. And, I mean, it was just, that year was a stacked Derby. And for him to come out after 3 weeks in the Arkansas Derby and run like he did, that was just so impressive. I'm hoping Concert Tour digs in and finds his American Pharoah with that 3 weeks in between races and has enough in the tank to get it done. Well,
hey, Bob Baffert's done before, Johnny, so I guess we'll find out soon enough. But we're going to take a look at the current Derby picture here before we get out of here. It's starting to shape up real good, Johnny. We're 3 weeks away on Saturday from the first Saturday of May, the Run for the Roses. Once again, you're watching Derby Talk. Johnny, your thoughts here? The picture's starting to shape up nicely. We're going to start doing some highlights of the horses that will be in the Derby field, so stay tuned for that moving forward. But what are your thoughts here at the current Derby picture?
Yeah, so the picture's definitely shaping up. Some horses are defecting. Greatest Honor had an ankle injury. He's out. Took a lot of points with him. Life is Good. We all know he's out. He took a lot of points with him. Wayburn looks like he's going to be out. He's going to take 60 points with him. Rebels Romance. He's not going to run. Looks like he's taking 100 points with him. So with all those points being taken away, I think that it could be a race where maybe you don't have to have the 40 points to get in. Maybe you get in with a little bit less than that. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if the Crowded Trades and the Panadolls and the rest of those horses that are a little higher on the list that maybe might not want the Derby distance, or maybe their connections feel that they will. Let's see who stays there. And with this last race, who knows how the horses come out of the race, but keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on the Rockier Worlds who weren't switching leads, and the known agendas who were kind of veering in and out of the track. See how they're training up to the.
All right. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us on Derby Talk. This is episode number 14. Thanks again if you've been following us, Tommy D and Johnny Lowe. We're here taking a look at the Derby picture 2021. Make sure you hit that like button, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel, because we're going to be taking a look at profiling the top 25 horses that we think have a chance to get into the Derby, Johnny. So make sure you hit that notification bell, and you're watching the Hip Horse Derby Talk, baby. We're right there, less than 3 weeks away. We'll catch you next time on the Hip Horse.